Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Six Women at Work discussion. Today, we are highlighting single women at work. We are delighted to have with us three independent and successful women working in UAE. But before we start our webinar today, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Hanadi Mohammed, and I have with me my colleague
Sokrat bin Bishar. I'm the Art and Culture Manager at the Al Qasimi Foundation.
We are excited to host this session today. Before we begin, I have a few housekeeping items which I would like to cover about this webinar platform. If you have any question for our speaker, please use the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. We will try to address all the questions during this webinar today, but if we can't cover all the questions, we'll make sure to follow up after this webinar. This webinar will be conducted in English, but if you prefer to ask any question in Arabic, please do that. Also, another item which I would like to cover regarding the screen view, if you would like to see all the speaker at the same time, or just only the person who's speaking, you can adjust from the button view gallery at the top right of your screen.
Thank you very much, Hanadi. So I would like to start now with we would give the mic back to our guests. So I will, so everybody, if you can please start by giving your name and your position and any brief thing about yourself. We will start with Dr. Louise.
Hi, well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Dr. Louise Lambert. I'm from Canada, but I've lived here for about 10 years, and I'm the editor of the Middle East Journal of Positive Psychology, and I teach happiness and well-being. And no, I do not have a cat. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Louise. Sara?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So unlike Dr. Louise, I do have a cat. I've been in the UAE for, well, I was born in the UAE, but I've lived in many countries, but I've also been back for about 10 years now. I'm currently the Senior HR Director at Ras Al Khaimah Tourism, and we just got voted the happiest government entity in Ras Al Khaimah. So this is one of our proudest moments, and I'm very happy to be here today.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you, Sarah. Suhaila?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Suhaila Alwali. I'm a manager of transport in DO, and also I'm the first youth advisor within the company.
Thank you, Suhaila. So we will start now the questions, and the first question, of course, they're gonna go to Suhaila. Suhaila, can you please tell us briefly about your current position and what you love most about it, about your job, about what you're doing right now?
Okay, my current position is a manager of the transport within a transport layer as an engineer in a telecommunication company or industry. Let's say it will be more clear to everyone. So being an engineer, it's a little bit, let's say, it's not a tough, but it's challenging work for everyone to be an engineer. So we are dealing with the network. So we love networking and we love this telecommunication thing because each project is totally different than other. So I'm a challenge seeker and I love each project, which make me a little bit think outside the box, how we can just solve this project and how to connect between these different links in different area or different emirates. So this is the thing that I love in my job, like challenge, seeking for a new knowledge. So I need to be updated with the new technology, which we have now 5G, which is next of the 5G. Let's just see what will happen next.
So if there's something, we can contact you, Suhaila.
Yeah, sure. Feel free.
Thank you, Suhaila.
So I would like to ask a question to Dr. Louise. What motivated you to become a psychologist? I'm really curious to know about it.
Also me.
Okay, no problem. So honestly, it was just very simple. I'm just very curious about people, about what drives us, what motivates us, the heights that we can reach. So I'm also a positive psychologist. So I studied for many years, what I call the doom and gloom side of life, depression, anxiety, all of that stuff. And in recent years, I've moved into positive psychology. So using the same science, but only to study what makes us awesome, what makes us great, what makes us reach the heights of human excellence. So it was really just curiosity for one. The other thing, my options were a little bit limited. So I'm from Northern Alberta and my options were economics. I can't count and I'm terrible at numbers. The other option was being a teacher, and which will probably come out today. Little people make me a little bit stressed because they're kind of noisy. So that was an option I didn't want to take. And yeah, and then psychology, that was what was left. So it was still a good choice. And that's really as simple as that. I'm just very curious about people. And I'm always the one to say, how come? Oh, tell me more. Why?
It's really fascinating, Dr. Louise. We would love to hear more, and maybe we have more conversation.
Yes, sure. And I think it's a very, for me, it's a very interesting job to just even talk to a lot of people and just to know more about themselves. For Sarah, I just want to know, how did you get into HR? Because it's the same thing. HR means a lot of people. You're into a lot of, I don't know, solving problems. And how did you begin with it?
It's funny that you say that it's a lot of people and solving problems. So I got into HR. So by the time I was 20 years old, I had moved 20 different times. I had lived in 4 countries, 8 cities. I went to 7 schools, 2 universities. Change was part of my DNA. And what helped me survive this change was the ability to speak to people, communicate with them. Obviously, having different cultures and being around different people, you have to learn how to speak their language. And when I say their language, I don't mean Arabic, I don't mean English, I don't mean French or Urdu or whatever. I mean empathy. And so to really speak to someone and understand them. And so this was something that I developed throughout my life. And then when it came time to get to the work side of things, my background was also in psychology. Completed to get a doctorate degree, but I did get my master's in psychology. So when I moved back to the UAE, HR was the next best thing to counseling and to dealing with people and to solving their issues or trying to help them solve their own issues. But if I really think about it, I was talking to some of my colleagues today, and I said, if people really knew what we do as HR directors, my main job is finding out what people want to eat for their Thursday breakfast. Like, oh, what do you guys want this week? Burgers, pizzas? That's literally the hardest question of my job.
Oh, interesting. So food is the way to enter people's life.
Yes, everyone thinks football is the universal language. It's not football, it's food. If you want people to like you, feed them. That's the best way. That's how we got voted #1. We just gave them food.
It's a great tip. Thanks for sharing.
We're going to try it in the foundation.
I have a question for all of you. Feel free to jump in and answer the question. So I just want to know, do you think or do you believe your passion for work has impacted your personal life?
Maybe we start with Sara.
I'm one of, I think, I have a very good work-life balance. So I have a lot of hobbies. I'm a skydiver. I am a kite surfer. I play beach tennis professionally as well. So I have to say, no, I keep a very, very good work-life balance. And I genuinely do believe it's possible to have a very successful career and maintain a very healthy life balance, as long as you have your priorities set and as long as you don't stress about things you don't need to stress about. A lot of the times we tend to make big situations out of things that aren't so big, and that adds unnecessary pressure or unnecessary stress. I think if we handle each thing as if they're very easy to solve. And if we work smart, it's quite easy to balance both.
Oh, that's really great. And I can feel the HR part as well, like letting people calm and control the situation.
Yeah.
What about you, Suhaila? What do you think?
Actually, I always balance between my life and work, and I love to try everything in the life. Like I try the gun shoot and I get the first place, and I try to do something crazy, and it's fine with me. Since I love to try everything. Also, I have a bachelor in IT. Then I moved to business, master in business, and the seeker, which is me, love to read in law. I read in law several times, and several books that I need to read it. So the life balance and the passion, it came inside you. So you can just jump to the next level, read something new, try something crazy or new, and even maybe you will success and find yourself in other career.
Yeah, true. It's kind of encouraging for continuous learning and growth.
Yes.
Anything you would like to add, Dr. Louise?
Well, I'm suddenly feeling a bit awkward because I don't have a good life-work balance, but I don't mind it. I often think these balances, it's about finding the rhythm that works well for you. So I don't know if it's necessarily gotten in the way of my private life, but do I work a lot? Yes, that is voluntary. I do a lot of research. I do consulting. I do teach. I love to do projects. I like to stay busy. I really do like this. So, yeah, not 50-50, definitely not, but certainly at a pace that I like. But I will carve out time, like just before this call, I'm like, I got time to go to the pool. I'm out of here. So I guess I balance it differently, but I will be working at 5 a.m. when other people are probably sleeping.
Oh, it's still a great motivated things that you can do to start your day and end your day. It's like being busy and around people.
And I believe in that everybody has. Well, I noticed that you still have your own way to get your energy out. It's not like everybody has to work 24/7, right? Because then otherwise it's not gonna be life. You need to add something value to complete your life. So my question would be, are there any challenges specifically to single worker women? And what do you have, like if somebody have faced something in that field? So I can ask Suhaila, if there's any challenges.
Actually, I didn't face any challenges to be like a single woman. Maybe the most challenging thing that we have is how to reach the next level. So you can just learn, challenge yourself and study well, ask your colleagues. This is the only thing that we are facing with a challenge, but challenge to be a single woman, of course, no.
Yeah, I think the way that the question has been asked, not as being a single woman, it's just being like sometimes, like there is some jobs that people can say, oh, it's not good, women cannot do this, it's mainly for men, or there's jobs that, so we were asking maybe in this field a little bit that if you faced anything, or any of you, like in any matters in your life.
On my first day to be like an engineer, I go to site. Fixing some devices, and I heard several times with these heavy devices, but it's fine. But I learned from my hand from the beginning. So being an engineer, it's not for the men only. Women can do it.
Perfect. Sara?
I would say the main challenges single people in general face, not single women or single men, is in terms of benefits at work. So right now, I mean, we are so fortunate to be in the UAE. It's literally one of my favorite places to live. But in every company that I've worked with, I always ask the same question, and I ask, what benefits do you have before I joined? So obviously you have your salary and you have the benefits. And being a non-Emirati, they always extend a family status benefit. And what the family status benefit is visa and insurance for 3 dependents plus myself. Unfortunately, if I'm a single female or a single male, I can't avail these benefits. I can't actually use them. And in that sense, I'm a cheaper resource for the organization. They don't have to pay these costs on myself or on single people in general. So for me, it's not so much, is there a job that women or single women can do or women can do and men can't do? It's more, I like to look away from gender, especially when dealing with HR, because you need to be fair. The main challenge would be in the benefits. And this is something that, at least for us at Ras Al Khaimah Tourism, that was one of the first thing we addressed. And I don't know if many people know about Ras Al Khaimah Tourism, but one of the reasons we have been voted the #1 place to work in Ras Al Khaimah is because we treat all of our employees fairly. So we don't look at them as single or married or male or female or young or old. We look at them as an employee and they need to be treated equally. So in terms of this benefit, we started to normalize it. We offered a different kind of benefit if they needed some other benefits. That would be my main challenge as a single person.
Thank you, Sarah. Dr. Louise?
Yeah, if I can add to that. So yeah, I see the same thing. I mean, we're definitely the cheaper option, which has advantages because sometimes organizations will go down the list and go, all right, these are the cheaper people, take them, because we don't have to pay the school fees and, you know, the bigger homes and whatnot. On the other hand, it hasn't happened to me, but I've sort of heard it. You know, sometimes somebody may get promoted because they're married and have kids. And so it's sort of thought of, well, he has a family, so maybe he's more, it's not that he's more deserving, but because there are children, he's more deserving of the position because he's taking care of more people, whereas single people might be overlooked, not necessarily because of competence or otherwise, but just because you're on your own. You're not taking care of anybody. You'll be fine. So that is a little thing I've seen. On the other hand, I feel like being single at work has tremendous advantages. When I look at perhaps people, some of my colleagues who are married, or largely it's the one with kids, and I think, ooh, you know, I can work late, I can work early, I can leave 20 minutes later. You know, I look at them and I think, how do you function? Right? So lots of extra things, commuting, picking up the kid, dropping this one off at soccer, dentist, this, you know, this one's calling and crying on the phone, pick up milk. And I'm like, I'm okay over here. I'm just going to have another latte, you know? So I think there's definite advantages. I feel like I've been more productive at work because I'm single. I have the time to do things and I'm not mentally distracted by a family as maybe married people would be.
Like your schedule is yours.
It's mine, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's interesting also. Different point of view. So actually my second question will be also, it's gonna be following up with this question, but in another way. So what are, or if like the difference between a single worker man, in your opinion, and a single worker woman in the workplace? Like, for example, promotions. I think most of you were talking about like promotions, workload, traveling, you know, the complex, the benefits, which will start also with Sara. So I think some of you already mentioned, but this is a specific question. Do you see there is a difference between now we're talking about singles, man or a single woman?
Again, I'm gonna say no. I don't think that there's really a difference in terms of capability or in terms of work ethic, but it depends on the individual. And I feel like usually with women, in order, if a man and a woman are at the same level in their career, chances are the woman has had to go through a lot more obstacles to get to that level. And the reason being could be many things. It could be family pressure, or it could be pressure from the people around them, or it could be bias from their colleagues. You know, Suhaila is in an engineering capacity. She's probably the minority as a female. So for her to have achieved an engineering degree and then an engineering position, chances are Suhaila had to work much harder to get to that stage than many other men around her, because men are in general supported naturally when it comes to these things. So I would say the challenges isn't so much like when you're at work, do women perform better than men? But it's more getting there. What struggles did they have to go through to get to that phase? And this is one of the questions I love to ask my employees, is to really understand what it took for them to get to that position, because the more you understand the context, the more you understand the challenges that they had to go through, the more you can understand how you can support them to help them grow even further.
Thank you, Sara. Dr. Louise?
That's a tough question to answer, because I feel there's also things that change by age. So as I'm thinking of these examples, I keep my mental picture of this keeps switching to, you know, maybe people in their young 20s, or maybe I've just gotten old and don't really care anymore and don't notice it. But, you know, I'm wondering how much of this has to do with age as well. I feel sometimes that, you know, when men make a mistake at work, everybody just chuckles, ha, 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 he's still learning. When women make a mistake at work, it's like, oh dear. And it sort of taps onto what Sara was saying, that, you know, women have to work harder, have to show them more responsible, have to take more initiative, have to, you know, be much more focused. Whereas I get the feeling sometimes maybe men can, it's kind of like it's just natural. We just assume they're competent, whereas women have to show they are competent and prove they're competent. So again, I don't know if it's being single so much. Maybe it's more about gender, and also maybe more about age as well. So I don't know exactly where to put it, but I do feel like there are different perceptions, definitely.
Also, maybe I think it depends also on the culture, the environment that you're growing up. Suhaila, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I need to add some point, like in UAE society, like letting, if we want to travel, I need to take a permission from my father and my mother in case that I want to travel for a business trip. So in some cases, when it came to work, like they ask us, give us the answer within a minute. I see, excuse me, I need to take it to ask my mother, my father, and then reply back to you. So this is the thing that we are facing, like being a single woman. Like if my brother will travel, they can just one call with my father and they will find they can just travel directly. So this is the difference.
I think even in the airport they can call them and before the plane.
On the airport, there is no issue on it. Other thing that I love Sara when she talk about like working harder for the woman. So in some cases, in some of the projects, they ask me, Suhaila, please do it. We know that you will finish it within a week. I said, oh, excuse me, but this is a full project. I need to read it well. But you are a challenge seeker. Just finish it. And this is the thing that women are struggling, that when they show the passion and show like they love to work and work more harder. So this is the result.
They use the power of women.
Yes, the power.
Thank you, Suhaila.
I would like to ask a question. Like, do you think as a single woman, you have a harder time to say no at work? Let's start with Dr. Louise.
I don't, but I'm just kind of bossy that way. So I'm just like, no, I ain't doing that. But I see other women have a hard time saying no at work. I don't know if it's so much about being single or not, but I do see it a lot. Whereas they kind of get stuck with those administrative jobs, the stuff nobody really wants to do. And maybe that's why I'm so good at saying no, because I'm like, I ain't doing that. You got to say no first, right? But I'm very well aware that it goes downhill until it reaches the last person who can't say no. And that last person is generally always a woman. So I am aware of that. Now, again, whether it's single or not, I don't know, but yeah, it's there.
I can say, Dr. Louise, it's like sometimes the nature, as in my experience, sometimes I hesitate to say no. But as you said, like we are learning to say no to some certain stuff. Anything you would like to add, Sarah?
I would say that actually, like Dr. Louise said initially, being single is kind of like a superpower because you have nothing to lose. So if, for example, you lose your job, it's just you that you need to take care of. Or, but if you had a family, you're worried about, what about my kids? How am I going to feed my kids? How am I going to put them through school? How am I going to make sure that they're fine? So it's actually the opposite, in my opinion. I find that the more you have a family, the more you have responsibilities, the more you have loans or debts or those kind of things, that's when it becomes harder for you to say no. And it becomes more about tolerating behaviors that you normally wouldn't if you had another option. So I actually think single women who don't, or single people who don't have major responsibilities, either financial or health-wise or any of those things, I feel like it's easier for them to say no because the consequence of them losing their job, they're not so scared of it. Whereas if you're scared of losing your job, that's when you get stuck in the, no, I'm just going to say yes to everything so that I save my job, so my job is secure. So in my opinion, it's the opposite.
Yeah, thanks for sharing a very important point, like for the people like who really has some responsibility and they are responsible of things in their life.
Can I add something to that? So I think Sarah, I love that. I love what you've just said, that it gets harder to say no the more dependence you have. I also think sometimes it becomes harder to say yes. So this is the other thing I have seen, and it breaks my heart when I see it. Amazing, smart, fabulous women who are offered promotions, higher positions, really important positions. And I know these people, I've seen them and I've had conversations with them where they say, you know what, this is going to break my heart, but I can't say yes to this because if I do, it's going to make people feel awkward. And usually it's, a partner who's maybe very caring and loving, but who's going to feel awkward because she's now becoming something. And so, that is also an issue. Whereas I can say no, I can also say yes. In fact, I do punch above my weight, maybe in ways that other people wouldn't for that reason. So I think being married and having dependents is a whole different ballgame. And it really does change things at work. And it's just, this is an interesting conversation because typically we kind of feel sorry for single people, but actually I think it's a massive advantage in the workplace, maybe even an unfair advantage to a degree.
Thank you, Dr. Suhaila?
Yeah, definitely saying no, it's the most easy thing to say since we don't have a responsibility and other thing to do. So if I will say no, it may affect my time balance, it may affect my lifestyle, it might affect my health even. And I need to care about my health. Having more responsibility in your life will affect my health. It will make me more stressed. And just to add about the stress, once a day we have a training and we did a stress test. And after, like most of the employees did the stress, they was on the high stress level. But me and two of my colleagues was on the low stress level. And the trainer was asked us, like, are you married? And I say, no. that this is the reason. You don't have something to care about. No kids, no home, no billing to pay. I say, yes, definitely. This is the reason. So this is the way. Like we say yes for something which will make us better than yesterday, for the thing that will make us more happy, more fun, and more encouraging.
Oh, that's fascinating. Thanks for sharing all the insights. So I would like also to hear what career mistakes you have made along the way and what the lesson learned you have learned from it. To start with Suhaila, maybe? Again, sorry.
Engineer life. Actually, there is no mistake. It is like a lesson learned. So as I mentioned before, like I'm working a lot with the project. So making a mistake, making or a challenge within this project, you will learn from it. And definitely you will start asking, okay, if I do it like this, and it was a wrong way to do the project, or to do what is the right way? Should we just start by doing a testing, and or then connecting the fiber to the other devices? So all of these things, it's different between project and other. If you just follow the steps, totally the steps will be difficult to be followed, since each one is different. Each customer need a different thing, and you need to be very careful and learn from your mistake. So all of these 7 years of engineering is filled with the challenges and mistakes. So mistake can be a lesson learned, and here we go. We are now in this position from this mistake.
Yeah, it's like a way to develop and grow from your mistakes. That's really great. Thanks for sharing your insights, Suhaila.
Somebody wants to add anything? Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Suhaila, I love that mindset. So there's two types of mindsets. There is the fixed mindsets, which is a mistake is a failure. And then there's the growth mindset, which Suhaila is demonstrating, whereby mistakes are just opportunities to improve and opportunities to learn and grow and get better. So I really love your answer, Suhaila, and I wish more people adopted that same approach to mistakes.
Thank you, Sarah.
And I don't think I have much to add, but I'm kind of the same opinion. I didn't know how to answer that because I thought, well, maybe other people would have thought I've made mistakes at work, but I didn't really see it that way. It was kind of like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I just move on to something else. So I think being single has given me the freedom to just say, nah, I want something else, and to literally pack up, move to another country, or to stay and just to carve out a life that I want versus one I may be pushed into and have less freedom to choose.
Thank you, Doctor. My question is going to be for Sarah. What does adaptability looks like when in your current job as a director, and in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic? So we want to hear it from you.
It's a perfect segue from what Suhaila said. Adaptability is not being afraid to make mistakes. So not trying to be perfect, just trying to be good enough, understanding the issues that you have, trying to solve them. Sometimes you're prototyping and trying to solve them. You don't actually solve them in the best way, but you learn and you adapt very quickly to these small ways. And I find the UAE in general has a startup mentality, because look at the pace in which we're growing. Look at the pace in which we can adapt. In times of COVID, it was one of the first countries to just bounce back entirely. And it's because they have this adaptability in their veins. They know how to work smart. They know where to focus their energy. And it's the same thing with leaders. If you want to be adaptable, you can't be afraid of making mistakes. You can't be afraid of trying something and then realizing, oh, this doesn't work, let's try something else. And knowing that people are not going to judge you for not making the best move, but they're going to see that you're trying, that you don't have all the answers, but you're also trying your best. So that's one approach. The other approach in terms of adaptability that I find has worked a lot in Ras Al Khaimah tourism is the fact that we are very flexible in how we deal with human beings, because at the end of the day, we're not robots. It's not black and white. It's not a one size fits all. My challenges as a single person is not the same as another person's challenges who have to homeschool their kids. So these policies, these procedures, these audit tick boxes that we have, they mean nothing if you don't add a human element to it, and if you don't add an element of fairness or flexibility. And when I say fairness, I don't mean equality at all, because you can't treat people equally. We're not equal. But to treat people in the most fair way, as per their circumstance, that's what made us one of the happiest entities to work for, because this is exactly what we do.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sarah.
So I would like to ask a question to Dr. Louise, and again, I'm being so curious. So I would like to hear from Dr. Louise, how do you define success? And is there was any some of a sort of formula of becoming a successful psychologist?
Well, the problem with psychology is you can't really be, you can be bad at it, but once you're good at it, then everybody's just good at it. It's not really a great career to climb in. You're either a psychologist or you're not. That's it. We don't have an assistant psychologist, associate psychologist. That doesn't exist. But I think it's a good question, thinking about just success in life in general. And, you know, if you pick up a business book, it'll tell you do this, this, this. If you pick up a parenting book, it'll tell you do this, this, this. And I think we're kind of moving into an era now where I think we can just say, you know, look, whatever works for you is what works for you. As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as it's sustainable over time, it's not undermining your health or your relationships, knock yourself out. Life is short. Do what you got to do. And I think it's incumbent, it's important for all of us as individuals, whether you're single, parent, whatever, to think about what matters to me. And what is the kind of life that I want? Understanding that that may change over time. So maybe, you know, a couple of years ago, I worked even more, and I liked it. I was very engaged, very focused, very productive. And then at a certain point I thought, oh, I need to eat more cheese. I need to have more fun. And so I just sort of changed my focus. And now it's really about little moments throughout the day. It's more about quality of life. And, you know, that's been my change. But I think bottom line, it comes down to being introspective, you know, using insight and really being honest with ourselves about what works for you, what do you need, and maybe being able to resist a little bit going with the crowd. You know, I think Dubai is a great example. I mean, we have 5-star everything, and that's wonderful, but it can also pull us into going with the crowd, you know, going to the 5-star restaurant because that's supposed to make you happy, but really sometimes they're boring and I'd rather have just, you know, fish and tacos on the beach, right? So yeah, I think it's, you know, success is really create the life you want and then live it. Don't just look at it, live it.
It's very encouraging, Dr. Louise, like putting yourself in center, what you want, and do whatever you love.
Yeah.
So before we go to the Q&A to our audience, because they have a few questions, my last question will be like, what advice you will give to a young single working woman starting in her career? So I would love to hear from 3 of you, please, if you don't mind. To start with Sarah, maybe?
Suhaila.
Or
Hi.
Yeah, Sarah.
Me or Suhaila?
You can go ahead, Sarah.
The advice I would give, not just single women, but the advice I would give anyone starting their careers is to not expect something that you have not worked hard for. We live in an age right now where everything is instant. You want groceries, you go to InstaShop. You want to check out things on shopping, you go to Amazon, it arrives to your thing. The hard work that we used to put in things, it's become so easy. Our lives have become so easy. And what we tend to find is that, especially with new people who come into the workplace, they come in and they expect the workplace to be easy, fast. They expect promotions to happen immediately. They expect people to know how great they're working, and they expect recognition. And a lot of the times they get disappointed because they have these expectations that are very difficult to meet in a normal workforce, because people are busy and people are not focusing, or most of the times people are not focusing on giving the recognition, although I think that's something we need to work for. So anyone starting their careers, or anyone who's actually in their careers, before you expect something, make sure that you have this growth mentality that Suhaila exhibited initially, which is, even if you have a setback, even if you're disappointed, even if something negative happens to you, don't think of it like a failure. Don't think of it like a mistake, but think of every single opportunity that you're given as a learning opportunity, even if it's just talking to your colleagues, or talking to your parents, or talking to your kids, or talking to your siblings. Everything is a learning opportunity. Be curious, constantly be curious, and be willing to grow and to develop. That's the best advice I could give anyone. I do it all the time.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It's really encouraging for us also. Like, we can take some tips from your advice. Thank you so much. Suhaila, if you would like to say something. Sorry.
Yeah, my first advice will be to all, be yours. Please, please, please be yours. Don't be other person or copy some of your friend or your sister or brother. Be yours. Being yours is the most successful thing. You know yourself correctly. Maybe other people don't you what is your inside personality like. We see which is your body language, your what is outside you, but we cannot see what is inside you. When you enter to the office or to the university or to anywhere, try just to smile. Like smiling to each other will encourage other to work and smile back to you. Don't came to office or don't came to any place with the sad or bad mood. Don't take this bad mood to the other person or start just annoying each other with your problem and issue. No, keep your issue between you and just start to be happy to the other person. I always told my colleagues, when we just enter to the gate on the to the office, we just wear other hats and we just wear other face, which is the happy face. Like, no one need to know that we have a bad day or a bad night. Other thing that I need to tell everyone, just listen and learn, and even ask your colleagues. Just ask whatever question that you have. Try to learn from your mistake. Try to work hard. If this working hard will affect your health and your personal life, please say no to this thing and start to take a leave, change the thing, go out with your friend. You can just, even if you work, allow you to work outside the office, just take your laptop and sit on the coffee. You will be in a different mood.
Yeah,
this is my advice.
Really great. Thanks for
Suhaila.
sharing, Suhaila. And maybe if you would like to
Dr.
add
Louise?
anything, Dr. Louise.
Mine is say yes to everything. Yes to everything, especially the stuff where you think, I have no idea how to do that. That's what you should be saying yes to. Or, oh, that sounds too hard. That's what you should be saying yes to. Or, oh, that person looks weird. I mean, unless they're creepy, then say no. But, you know, that's what you should be saying yes to. And I find young people, they're kind of like scared. They want to be comfortable. They want to show that they're really good. Show you're really good later. Right now, it's about learning. It's about trying. It's about experimenting. It's about doing things, even the things you're pretty sure you hate, do it anyway, because you might go, actually, I kind of like that. You know, one of the things I did in my training as a psychologist for the first year, we were forced to work with everybody, kids, elderly, domestic violence, murderers. We had eating disorders. We worked in hospitals and prisons all over the place. And some stuff was really scary. And some stuff I was like, I'm never doing that again. But today I'm like, I know a lot about a lot of things as a result. I know what I like, I know what I don't like, and I know what I need to know to be able to do something as well. But I look at other people at the same time who worked with one population and that's all they did. And that's still where they are. So I would say, just say yes to everything. Conversely, as you're getting, maybe as you're moving ahead in your career and you're getting older, then my advice is the opposite. Start learning how to say no. If that does not serve you, if you're doing it because somebody else isn't, if you're being taken advantage of, if it's not interesting, if it's not exciting, if it's not going to make you laugh, if it's not going to make you learn, no. So there's a time for everything, yes and no, and learn when to do which.
That's
Thank
really
you.
great.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. So I think we are going to start now the Q&A. We have 2 questions for now, but excuse me, I'm going to be closer to the screen. So question number 1, I found this session is very interesting and the conversation is interesting. This question is for Sara and Louise. Does it feel different being a single person in working place in the UAE, as a UAE, working the UAE place, rather than being, like in another place in the world?
I guess
Who's gonna do it?
I'll start.
For both of you.
Yes, definitely. The UAE has an incredibly strong focus on family and family values, because in general, the UAE is a collectivist society. So they value family, they value family time, which makes it easier to have a family in this region, because it's an amazing thing. But at the same time, it's such a young population as well. So there's a lot of single people. So it's a perfect balance between both worlds, where you have the family side of things, where there's so much to do as family, and there's also a very significant number of things to do as a single person. I would say in general, for anyone between the ages, well, for anyone right now, this is one of the most amazing places to live because of the diversity. It's a melting pot of so many different cultures, nationalities, ideologies, beliefs. And I would say that it's definitely not more challenging being a single person. It's very exciting being a part of the UAE workforce in general, for sure, in my opinion.
Dr.
I always get asked this weird question when I go to Canada. What's it like being a woman? I think everybody gets asked this question. And I try to explain it and people are just like, huh? It's fantastic being a woman here. I feel better here being a woman than I do in Canada. So I like the best of both worlds. It is very family oriented. So the first time I moved to LA, that was very obvious to me. I went to a restaurant by myself and I was sitting at a table for 10. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm cool. Like, and that was the smallest table they had. So it becomes very obvious you are in a collective society, and as a single person, you are the oddball. On the other hand, people welcome you in because they kind of look at you and go, oh, mesquine, right? Like they just pull you in, they feel sorry for you. And there's also this idea that nobody's ever left alone. So it's very easy to get pulled into a group when you need it. And as Sarah said, at the same time, UAE is very diverse. You drive down to Dubai, Abu Dhabi. I mean, every city is very different. There's also a lot to do as a single person as well. So it's the best of both worlds. So yeah, it's a nice mix. And it is a nice balance where you can do both and you can choose to step in and out as you like.
Yeah, I think I was gonna add to you, Doctor, that it's the way of some people that they used to like because as an Emiratis we are always, or Arab in general, like they are always, come to the house and you're part of the family, and then suddenly when you don't want all of this, you're like, okay, I'm staying by my, at my house, I'm doing my work, or I don't know, I'm just shopping, or which actually sometimes it's a balance between the both lives for single people. I have a question from Noha. Do you think that the gender pay gap in narrowing the general and the single, single woman in Pacific, in particular, I cannot.
I'm actually, I'm going to address this one because I did some research about this. Do you guys know that the UAE is the first Arab country to have addressed the gender pay gap? Were you guys aware of this by the World Economic Forum? So it's actually, in the UAE, it's illegal to pay a man more money than it is to pay a woman for doing the same role. So the UAE, I think, is so progressive, especially in this one aspect. And a lot of the times people don't know this because they just assume that there's this gender inequality, but it's not the case. And if you have proof that you are not being paid as much as a male to do the exact same job, you can take that to the Ministry of Labor and you have a case that you can file.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's really great. Maybe we'll do the last question.
There's one question which is also, do you think that, I think we answered it, but it's from anonymous. So do you think that being a single gives you a better career development and opportunity with the company by itself to being married? Dr. Louise?
Well, I think individuals have a role to play there. Some people are particularly skilled and talented and competent and whatnot. And of course, I can only speak from my view as a single person. And of course, I'm always biased and I think we're wonderful. So I'm going to say, yes, it allows us to grow in our careers a lot, but it's not so much an issue at work. I think it's just the reality when you have a family, you need to dedicate time. That's just the way it is. That's just the nature of it. And to be fair, single people at work, whatever their reality is, there's also another reality of single people in real life. And maybe there's other things that we're not getting that married people are getting. So we need to kind of balance things. There are, advantages here, advantages there, disadvantages here, disadvantages there. But I would say, does it free you up to be able to be more successful at work? I will say yes to that.
Thank you, Doctor. Last question would be for Suhaila, which is, what motivates you?
Okay, this is maybe a tough question. What motivates me? Since different things can motivate me. Every day is a different story is happening. Like
let's hear it as an Emirati woman. What motivates you?
First thing, when I feel sad, I suddenly eat. So it motivates me. This is the truth. So second thing, if I just feel low motivated, I just go out for shopping. This is ladies' word.
Motivation.
Or maybe go to beauty salon. This is other thing can motivate us. So all of the thing can motivate. Maybe something reading about the leader, success leader. I always love to read about some stories from Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Vision, and I guess like you see this book which is here. I always open it, read some pages on it. So it's really motivational thing. Going out with my friend can motivate me to work on the next day. Having a good sleep can motivate even you. Family gathering can motivate you. Like yesterday, like we just all of our family member was on Zoom, and this is really motivate us like to came to work today and just see, since like everyone is maybe everyone in other area, and we just open all of the camera and sit for an hour just chatting. and my other sister was downstairs. Just I could come all on one camera. Why everyone in different camera? So this is all can motivate us to work. Like be happy when you are sleeping on a night. Just sleep like tomorrow will be a better day for us. So this is all a motivational thing. Like work hard. Of course, when you work hard, you will achieve more, and other people can even talk about your successful story to other. So this is the thing that I always be mine. I will never copy other person. This is will motivate me.
And I think, Suhaila, what you added now also with the pandemic, and I love what you said about all of your families being, you know, on a cam, you know, on the, to be safe with the safe regulation. And because a lot of people, you know, they think, okay, we cannot see them. So, but it's a very, I mean, thank you for sharing this. And I hope everybody's listening to just be safe with the regular condition with the COVID. So I think we are at the end of our, almost at the end of the session. I would like to thank, you know, the attendees that they were with us today. Thank you very much. And also thank you for Dr. Louise, Sarah, and Suhaila. We really enjoyed the talk with you. And I think the guests and the audience would be delighted, you know, to that they hear a lot about the experience that you had, and you know, the stories that you share with us. And just to add, we will post this record in our YouTube channel in a week. So it's at Al-Qasmi Foundation, and if you missed it, so you can have a look at it. And also, when for the people that they just signed in, when you will close the webinar, you're going to have a link that will ask you to do the survey. Please take the time so we can, you know, develop for you the best every time for the women at work, and also our the rest of the series. And I think that's it. You want to add anything?
I just want to say, like, thank you so much for our great speakers, for all their insight. It was really fascinating, and I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope you also. And thanks for all the audience for attending to this webinar, and we'll see you inshallah in the upcoming webinars at work.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of the Al-Qasmi Foundation and the team and our executive director, we thank you all for joining us today, and have a lovely, great day.
Thank you.